Let's start with a monster spotlight.
You want to do a monster spotlight?
Let us start.
So how do you want to do this? Eventually,
we'll go from A to Z right now.
Is that what we're gonna do?
Right, I guess so. Why the fuck not? Right, we start with the aberrations.
Aberrations.
No, not like A to Z monster. Like,
well, I think well, weirdly enough, we can actually easily find this on D&D Beyond.
Exactly what I was thinking.
This is why I have D&D Beyond in front of me. This is not a sponsorship by any means. This is just our easy-to-use tool for everything in D&D.
I would just go to the collection section.
It's not in the collection section.
And then it would be all day love.
It's not the collection section because that's
yeah, you browse
viewing.
monster.
No. You know why? Yes. Because it's homebrew.
Well, then you go to the official button. Browse official content.
Fuck, that is a shortcut.
Yep.
Damn it. It's almost like you're a DM too.
That's what I always do.
I always go to tools. And they have a very easy way to look it up that way too.
And then we just click aberrations on the upper part.
Oh, so we're doing aberrations.
Yeah.
I thought we were talking about starting from...
No.
Because I'm just like, I don't know if I want to do that
way
one.
too much.
Because I already know which one is A
exactly.
that we start with and which is Aarakocra. And I'm like, I don't want to do Aarakocra first.
We're not doing that.
Not for our first podcast. Or at least our reboot podcast for Dragon Coffee.
Yeah, we just pick something from this list, essentially speaking.
Do we want to go high level or low level? We'll start by narrowing some things down.
Let's highlight a lower
CR creature.
Yeah. Something that people don't really look at too much.
We're not doing CR zeros because they don't even exist pretty much. Let's go with something from the Gazer has always been a good one.
Yeah.
It is definitely still in the Beholder category, but you know what? I've said Gazer. We're gonna go Gazer. Our spotlight today will be Gazer. Let's first look at the pronunciation that Matt Mercer or Marisha Ray have decided to give the word Gazer, just in case for some reason we have mispronounced Gazer. But I always love doing this because it's fun to hear their voices.
Gazer.
Okay, Marisha Ray said Gazer. So
the
official name for this is Gazer.
Gazer.
Okay, so before we look into the stat block of what a Gazer is, we'll look at some of the description of it. A Gazer is a tiny manifestation of the dreams of a beholder. It resembles the beholder who dreams it into existence, but its body is only 8 inches wide and has only 4 eye stalks. We would have to know what a beholder is first before we do that, because I'm sure there are some people who will be looking at is the coffee different?
What?
Well, what's up?
No, it's good.
Okay, cool. You were looking at it. Sorry.
Reaction.
Yeah, it's all good. Do we want to look at what a beholder is first? Because I'm sure there's going to be people here that are actually looking at D&D for the first time. I'm not saying that there is or isn't.
I can give a brief description of what a beholder is.
Or we can just spotlight beholder instead.
That's up to you.
I don't know. This is the first one, right?
So we spotlight him beholder or the Gazer then?
I don't know.
We'll
just go with Gazer. We'll just kind of like look at the small things of what a beholder is. All right, for our brief description of what a beholder is, they're aberrations. They're like one of the most iconic D&D monsters because everyone loves them. They have many eye stalks, and these many eye stalks can do a whole bunch of variety of different things. The DM can either decide what those little random rays do, or the mechanics that are built in, you roll to figure out what the random things that this does. But the beholders are able to create. They're so powerful, I think, mental-wise, or like their brain, right?
Yeah,
they're able to create shit.
They're able to create things just by using their minds. It could be intentional, but most of the time it's accidental.
Mm-hmm.
It could be spawned from nightmares, spawned from dreams. They are the Dream Lords without being the Dream Lords.
Yeah,
everything they're doing is an accident. They're very coveted too, as well. They have many fears and insecurities. Surprisingly, they are very emotionally driven creatures.
They're humanoid in a sense. That's beyond the point. Before we get too heavy into what a beholder is, because I'm sure that would have been great. We're doing Gazer. We decided
Exactly.
Gazer. These things, these little tiny creatures that are Gazers, resemble beholders who dreamed it into existence, but its body is only 8 inches wide and it has only 4 eye stalks. So it has little eye stalks that don't do near as much, or even like anywhere close to what a beholder
No,
is.
it essentially doesn't want to, be as. The beholder didn't want to be as strong as it, so I mean.
Yeah, it's just like it's like a little boy. It's almost like they're babies essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
Except they don't grow. I don't think Gazers grow. I think they just remain the size of what a Gazer is. But then again, I haven't really looked into the
lore-wise,
details.
yeah, that's all they do. But you can say that this thing eventually grows into a full beholder.
It's depending on what the beholder did, because
Exactly.
that's what the cool thing about what beholders are. They kind of just create things, and it's their manifestation of what their creation is,
exactly.
which also allows DMs to kind of create whatever they feel like that the beholder that the party is currently dealing with is dealing with, and that's what I like with certain monsters. A lot of monsters you can do this, but this is half the reason why a lot of people like beholders, because you can kind of do anything you want with them.
They're extremely customizable.
Exactly. I'll continue with this. It follows its creator like a devoted, aggressive puppy. And sometimes small packs of these creatures patrol their master's lair for vermin to kill and lone creatures to harass. A Gazer can't speak any languages but can approximate words and sentences it hears, mimicking them in high-pitched, mocking manners.
See, I didn't even know that part.
So they're little fucking...
It's not in the stat block.
No.
So,
The-
yeah.
I'm glad they've updated
descriptions,
descriptions
yeah,
since we've done this.
exactly.
We haven't done this in like a year and a half or 2.
Mhm.
So now looking at descriptions, we're actually going to get actual descriptions now.
We had no clue that they had mimicry. There was nothing that said it. And, yeah,
Now we know.
exactly.
Literally, some beholders with wizard minions insisted they take a Gazer as a familiar because the beholders can see through the eyes of these creatures. So basically, they're saying that some could use and abuse the power of maybe a beholder if they want to like ally with it, maybe.
Yeah.
But-
I mean, it's also, Gazers weren't originally even variant familiars either. This is also a new thing
Yep.
that came with the,
I don't remember where it came
most
from.
likely, the multiverse.
Could have been. A wild Gazer is territorial. It eats bugs and little animals and is known for playing with its food.
The
Ew.
fact that it goes from bugs to animals is crazy. It's like your diet can consist of bugs, tiny little mealworms, and crickets and cockroaches.
They're like little fucking lion cubs.
They're kind of like
I love how my brain immediately went Lion King.
well, like if we're talking about Simba, he was
You-
trained to eat bugs.
He was trained to eat bugs and little animals.
He was trained to survive off of the bugs.
Yeah, mostly the bugs. Yeah. That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Didn't know that.
A Gazer might follow the folk in its territory, noisily mimicking their speech and generally being a nuisance until they leave the area, but it flees if confronted by something it can't kill. Okay, so they're little assholes.
Yep.
That's literally built into their stat block, that they're little jerks.
Like they don't want to fuck with you if you look tougher than it. It won't mess with you. Yeah, it's basically a little.
But if it's like, oh, you guys
It's a
are,
little
if you
scaredy
guys
cat.
are level 1, they go, I'm gonna follow you. I'm going to annoy you. It's
Yeah.
it's like a little brother.
Because essentially speaking, like the interesting thing is that this thing could be like in a ventilation system,
Yeah.
just following you around, just going the whole time, just to
literally
being a little butthead.
little shithead. Yeah.
I like them. I like them.
Yeah, this is definitely we have our styles, and
Mm-hmm.
this is something that is definitely more his style. But I love Gazers. I think they're really cool.
They're not cute, but they're really cool.
It's a cool idea. Anything that's really attached to a beholder is cool in my eyes. So even if it's just a manifestation.
I also didn't even know that they were considered tiny.
Oh yeah, these things are little. They're like this.
I didn't know.
They're like rat size.
like little meatballs, little fucking gigantic meatballs. I always thought they were small, at least.
Like meatball.
Meatball.
Blah, blah,
Nice
blah, 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 blah.
meatball.
Gazer. So looking at the stat block, it has an armor class of 13. Its hit points are 3d4 plus 6. But the thing is most people use base hit points when it comes to stuff. I'm one of those
Mm-hmm.
DMs that kind of like the roll because it gives diversity when
Yeah,
it comes to
exactly.
fighting monsters, and it's not predictable. Oh, that was too easy. Oh, that wasn't too hard. I don't know. As a DM, you can kind of determine what you want with that. It has mimicry, which we have discussed what mimicry is. But for those who don't know, stat block wise, the gazer can mimic simple sounds of speech it has heard in any language. A creature that hears the sound can tell they are imitations with a successful DC 10 insight check.
Insight.
It has a basic bite attack that does 1 piercing damage.
Epic.
It literally says it does 1 piercing damage. You don't even roll for it.
Yep. No.
It has its eye rays, which technically are kind of unique because I don't think beholders have frost rays.
I don't think so either. They might not have a need for a frost ray.
No, they have many
They
things
have a
that are way better
disintegration
than
ray,
that.
so I mean, why fuck frosting them? Disintegrate them.
These little fuckers have dazing ray, fear ray, frost ray, and telekinetic ray. I know telekinetic and fear are things that come with a beholder. So, the targeted creature must succeed on a DC 12. Wisdom saving throw will be frightened. That's fear. Telekinetic is literally telekinesis. Frost is a frost damage attack, and then dazing ray can. Wisdom saving throw will be charmed until the start of the gazer's turn. Well, the target is charmed in this way that its speed is halved and has disadvantage on attack rolls. So it's just a confusing ray. It's just trying to confuse you, and you start doing weird shit because it confused you.
I think the other ones actually have confuse ray, like the actual confuse.
Oh, they do.
The spell.
I believe they do too, but I could be.
It's like a lesser version.
Yeah,
essentially.
I don't remember. I know most of them because I've used enough beholders at this point against you guys that I know a decent amount of them. The ones that really stand out. You know what I mean?
Disintegration ray.
And they also have a bonus action that they can move up to its speed towards a hostile creature that it can see. So these little monstrosities can be really good minions for a level 1 party that you plan on using maybe a BBG beholder or maybe like a little art for a beholder. These things are typically they were created for essentially using these to be used as minions. Or, like they said, they've added it for wizards or any character that can have a familiar. They can actually use these creatures as familiars.
Yeah, this can definitely hint towards what can be upcoming, though, as well. Who employed the gazer? Was it a beholder? Was it a wizard, like you're saying? Or was it some other nefarious creatures?
One of the most notable gazers that we know are the ones that were in Xanathar's guild.
Mm-hmm. Sewer gazers.
They were sewer gazers that were in Waterdeep Dragon Heist. That's the first thing that came up to my mind. And his character ended up getting one as a familiar.
Meatball.
So that was a thing. But that's the one that's notable to me. Gazers are interesting.
And yeah, once again, like that wasn't a thing really. Like when that thing had came out, it was like
it just made sense for us.
It really does. They're tiny little things. Like they're easily tameable. They're not too smart. They're not bright. So they just want food. You just give them food and they like you.
Literally. Yep, that's what a gazer is. What we'll do also for you guys is we'll put a little scenario where you could use gazers. Let's create an encounter using the gazers.
So we can either do a structured one or we can actually since we can just cut this up. We can just actually sit here and do one. We're just a small mini encounter, not like a full-fledged encounter.
Yes, it's just a little mini encounter, like something you would come across in a dungeon.
Exactly.
So, let's say here, using a gazer, you're walking. We'll do the scenario. You're walking through this new cave that came through in the Sword Coasts. One of the guilds nearby realized that this place has been unexplored and has sent you and your party. You guys are currently level 1, began your adventures. Sent you and your party towards this location.
Yeah.
You start walking through, and the first room you come across is
a bunch of slow-moving people. They're all trying to get out because something has apparently frozen their legs, and they're trying incredibly to get out, but they're moving so slow that they can barely even escape at this point, as they're crawling on the floor, wounded, hurt, and they're telling you that a meatball was chasing them, a meatball with eyes. So of course you must investigate this meatball with eyes, and for newer players who haven't ever heard of a gazer or a beholder, it's definitely like a odd thing to even hear for the first time. There's like what a meatball with eyes, like it was like, what could that be? And it was floating, hovering, and it was 6 of them.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about it too is like what we can do with these things is like, I think most of the time I'm going to be structuring these towards beginner players because I think a lot of times, especially with podcasts and just content in general, it's typically geared towards people who are already interested in the game. But there's not many things that allow new players to really strive.
Yeah, more veteran players. Veteran players know what every monster in the monster manual and all the expanded ones.
My coworker can literally name every single one.
That's what I'm saying. Like I also have,
he said it's to the point where his fucking DM pays him like $2 to not ruin an encounter because he can't stop talking about it.
God.
That's what he told me.
Oh
like I'm not
God.
prying. He told me that.
Oh
I'm just like, oh, that sounds like a wonderful time to play with you.
Yeah, right. Literally. That's once again why we come up with
unique characters.
But
that's a different thing. We'll have a homebrew section. Like I said, we'll be trying a lot of different things for you guys. A whole plethora worth of content. But even then, just like we've done this so long where I can literally just kind of like throw him a fastball and he can just kind of hit it out of the park or hit a line drive or hit something, and then we can kind of build off of each other. We played D&D long enough together. We're already close enough friends where it's very easy for us to build off of that. But that's beyond the point. That's the encounter. You just see the meatball. It's aggressive. It's already on aggro, and you roll for initiative.
Or the things that there could just be like, since we can use the traits that they have, now that we found out they can mimic things, that's actually pretty interesting. And I did notice that actually in their stat block. I never really looked at it because I never really looked at the gazer like that.
I think a multiverse added.
They probably added that, yeah. But either way, you can have it mimicking them throughout most of the dungeon, just leading them
towards
into different areas. Rooms,
which is a great idea.
Yeah, literally, because newer players aren't going to know what to do after that. They hear this meatball thing. What the fuck we do after that? They hear someone crying for help. Help me! Help me! They go into that room to investigate, finding nothing.
And then just the meatball who's ready to attack.
Yep. And he's like hiding underneath like a blanket or something like that.
That's a fun little add-on to a dungeon that wasn't already there before. And the thing is that like you can easily do They attack you. These bandits are aggressive and they want your money. We'll get into that when we actually look into some horror stories, which is I think going to be our next segment because I really want to get into that because it's just super fun doing that for me. That's one of my favorite things, and having that being a part of this new experience for us and for you guys, I think will be really fun. So yeah, that'll be our little monster spotlight. We'll create a little encounter for you guys. I think for now, I like the idea of using these smaller monsters to kind of like you guys could potentially use some of the ideas that we were just spouting from our brains to kind of like enhance your own dungeons.
And honestly, once again, like if you're going back to early newer people stuff and all that good things, gazers could be a deadly encounter for them.
That's
because of the fact that it's a random chance that you can just frost ray them, or to death. And it could become an interesting encounter for them where they're afraid of these tiny little creatures running around zapping them with their freaking eyeballs. And I never seen an adventure start off with the gazer and did it successfully or anything like that.